Welcome to Insight from the Godz. Lock him and brother knowledge. You know what I'm saying? We bringing in this new year with new ideas, new concepts, new ways to build. You know what I'm saying? As we usher in the new year, we're gonna be ushering in a whole new concept and a whole new way of doing things. You know what I'm saying? We may change locations, but our mindset, the only thing we changing is our insight and our foresight and how we deliver our message to the masses and how we elevate the people. Because as civilized men, we always on that. This new year gonna bring in a lot of new things. So, man, brother, knowledge, we about to let y'all know what's happening and let y'all know that we still here.
No doubt, no doubt. Welcome back, Insight from the Gods, for all our fans and the people that support us and look
No doubt.
forward to hear interesting dialogue coming from me and La Kim. I'm gonna start the day with today's math, which is culture freedom. And
Fact.
when you get to the culture freedom, you can't free your culture unless your mind is free itself.
No
So we
doubt.
want to deal with those elements of how to free your culture, not just the culture of the individual ethnicity, the culture of our people, of humanity as a whole. So when we dealing with insights with the guards, we're going to expound on everything. We're going to touch on all topics. If you have any questions, just tune in with your questions. Just propose your question. If we can read them, we can see them, we'll address them. No matter what it is, we're going to give you what we got. If we don't have it, we will not give you no falsehood under no circumstances.
No doubt.
That's what separates us from everybody else. So that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that work. This is 2025. What an interesting year we had. We about to close out. We're going into the new year 2026 with a fresh perspective. Wisdom cipher, wisdom equality, all
Mm,
being born in knowledge cipher, which is just I see equality,
no
because the
doubt.
letter J is the 10th alphabet in
Indeed.
the supreme alphabets. And we always gonna give you some God degrees one way or another.
That's right. That's our job to wake up the masses. But as we move forward and close out the year, wisdom power, we want to build forward for wisdom equality. You know what I'm saying? Which gives us that build or destroy, and we got the power to build or destroy. But we want to build on something before we continue to destroy the falsehoods and the negatives. You know what I'm saying? I would be remiss in my duty, you know what I'm saying, if I failed to recognize our supporters who commemorated us and commended us, you know what I'm saying,
No
at the
doubt.
event that we had. And we closed the year out with a big event for Heal and for Uncommon Dialogue together. You know what I'm saying? And our people, man, they sent us into the new year in a big way with a lot of good support, a lot of positive energy, and a lot of insight. You know what I'm saying? And we really felt like we was appreciated. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And we appreciated our supporters. We had a room full of people, you know what I mean? Everybody who's on this journey with us, you know what I'm saying? And we just want to thank them again, you know what I'm saying? And y'all can look forward to big things from us coming into this new year without a doubt. And that's just basically, you know what I'm saying, our energy. We're always in a state of gratitude. That's one thing y'all will never be able to say that we're not showing gratitude or not thankful for the people who sacrifice for us, for those that come to our men's groups, for those that sacrifice their time, for those that came to my men's group a day before Thanksgiving. I do not want y'all to think that that does not go recognized, because a lot of y'all ladies was on y'all back. They was like, why y'all going to a men's group a day before Thanksgiving? Y'all should be getting ready to chill with us. But like the brother said, you know what I'm saying? We got to recharge each other battery, man. And when you pour into each other, this allows you to have something to give when you in life situations. And that's the difference with us. We give you real knowledge and real information that fuels you to combat life-giving situations, because life, as they say, keeps life, and it's not going to stop for nobody. So you got to always be on point and be prepared and have your liquid sword mad sharp to cut through the foolishness and the falsehood. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, no doubt. That's powerful. Yeah, we did a 2 year celebration, me and the God. We started our groups Uncommon Dialogue and Heal. We started them almost 2 years ago, and it's like when you got positive movements like that, you very seldom. The thing I like about positive movements is because it's easy to distinguish the fake from the falsehood, because the real true people that really want positivity, they break their neck to support. The
Facts.
ones that really don't want it, like the imposters, they're gonna fall by the wayside anyway. And that's what I love about positive movements, because you might not have the number, but you got the quality. You know, a
Right.
lot of people get caught up on quantity and the numbers, the crowds, but really it's hollow. So what we try to do, we build from the inside out so we can create substance. That's why a lot of stuff we may say might pinch a nerve, it might trigger you, because it's real, it's raw. All real and raw stuff gonna always affect the weak.
No
And if
doubt.
you're weak and you're affected, then that's areas that you need to strengthen up in, because
Indeed.
we're not going to tell our words or sugarcoat a thing when we're dealing with reality. Because one thing about reality is, like, we're not offended by reality, but we so easily to take offense to things a person might say, their
Facts.
perspective, or their ideology. We'll find offense to that instead of shaping up and fixing our own present reality. And we're going to make sure that you're going to fix your reality, because we're fixing ours and we're showing you that. And we're giving you a clear view into our life when we talk about various topics that people don't like to talk about. And that's what
Right.
Insight from the Gods represent, all diasporas and angles of thought. But I wanted to give a big shout out to Freedom. I can't leave
No
Freedom out,
doubt.
because Freedom really she started the way. She created the foundation and gave us an opportunity to recognize our own vision. And that's so important, because we sometimes get so boggled down by the experiences of the world and the traumas of the world that we forget our own mission, because we so preoccupied with addressing immediate needs. So when you have somebody that can see a light in you and give you an opportunity to come through a door, and you got to find your own way within that realm, I
Mhm.
salute people like that, because they're not trying to indoctrinate you, and they not trying to coerce you
Mm.
to follow something that goes against your standard,
Right.
and you become your own standard. So they're true people that need to be acknowledged and rewarded and celebrated. So salute to Freedom, salute to Baltimore, Baltimore for Healthy Babies,
Yes,
Miss
indeed.
Stacy Stevens and Celeste.
That's
Because
right.
without them, now I wouldn't be able to formulate uncommon dialogue the way I did. They're important backers. I don't think I give them enough due and credit as much as they deserve. So I wanted to take this opportunity to give them their credit and their flowers now, if they're watching or if they happen to see this.
Right.
All good people need to be rewarded, because we condemn the bad people without a thought about it.
Right.
We quick to jump on the wrong, but we very seldom encourage the right. So what's the
Facts.
incentive to be good if there's no reward?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we want these kids out here to be so good, but when they do we acknowledge it? Do we represent for them? Do we make sure that they get celebrated when they doing excellent in relation to the ones that's tearing down our society and creating a bad name for the good ones?
Mm.
We give them all the attention, but we don't give the good ones the right attention. So we want to always try to dig through the darkness and find the light.
Indeed. Indeed.
No doubt.
No doubt. There was a heavy build, Lord, because as we bring in this new year, man, it's always the women that open them doors.
No
You
doubt.
know what I'm saying? As the God was giving his spill, I was thinking, damn, you got Miss Stacy, you got Celeste, and you got Freedom. And all three of them are
That's
females.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's even though the math, you know what I'm saying, equals build or destroy, it's still a degree where we got to build on a positive, as the God said, reward the good.
That's right.
And we got to destroy the negative, because we always want to point out the wrong or the negative.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? And it's something heavy, because the God build, he started off talking about how the big numbers and how people have a lot of people around them, but they're like hollow pieces of timber. They're not really solid in their support or in their true meaning or in the struggle that our youth face, that our women face, and that we face, not only locally, not only statewide, but truthfully worldwide. You know what I'm saying? And I know that a lot of times when we say things, they might seem lofty or too high for a lot of people to even be like, man, come on, man, that's a little far fetched. I understand what y'all trying to do, but when we say we're a movement, you know what I'm saying? When we say that we taking this thing not only statewide, but really we global. We say that because we have had a chance to connect with people. I want to shout out to Freedom for having us able to build with the people from Chile. when she went to Chile and she put us, you know what I'm saying, in touch with the people in Chile. And we're letting you know that this thing is worldwide. But it's something that Brother Knowledge just said a couple of minutes ago when he talked about the big numbers versus the small numbers. You know what I'm saying? Not that I'm ever going to give you anything to make you think I'm religiously intoxicated, but in the scripture, it talks about 144,000 that's chosen.
No doubt.
And these 144,000 that's chosen, right, is not a big number when you look at the world population of people. That's a small support system. Yet each number has a value that equates to the number nine, you know what I'm saying, which is the highest form of change. So it's no wonder that this small number in the world's population can produce change because it equals the number nine, which is the number to usher in and born a new change. When you look at our lessons and they talk about the 5%, that's a small percentage of the world's population. But like the God said, we're dealing with quality individuals and not quantity.
Right.
So it has always been a small group that always sparked the major revolutions and the major changes around the world. It was never a whole bunch of people that was with it. That's why Jesus stood out. At least that concept of what we consider a Christ. That's why Malcolm X stood out. That's why certain leaders stood out because it wasn't a majority of people doing what he was doing. It was a small percentage who had set forth, you know what I'm saying, a lot of strategies and a lot of thinking that revolutionized, you know what I'm saying, the youth, the young, because the energy was in the young. Clarence 13X, you know what I'm saying, a law in person, thanks to the Father, we all understand that. He said, go after the babies.
That's right.
You go after the youth, man, because the youth is the future. The youth have the life and the energy. You know what I'm saying? That we need to bring forth this change. And as long as the youth is misguided, as long as they are lost, then we're not going to have a chance to grasp hold of the energy to usher in a real new world order. You know what I'm saying? Not this shit that these demons trying to bring in, but a new world order of real equality, of real love, and of real loving of mankind, regardless of your culture. Since today's math is culture freedom. You know what I'm saying? In order to practice your culture, you have to understand some kind of freedom.
That's right.
You have to be free in your thinking, in your movement, and in what you create. You'll build with a lot of brothers who claim to be free, but everything they create, they're trying to attach themselves onto things that don't allow them to express themselves freely. And I could never understand that. If you're truly into freedom, then your thinking is going to be free. And even if you have to use the tool of the devil, even in using his tool, you're still going to make it work in a way where it expresses what you want, what you need, and what is required of you and yours to bring about a better reality, you know what I'm saying, for our people. And you know what I'm saying? I just want to again salute the people who stood on solid ground with us and celebrated with us. You know what I'm saying? I had people come from New York. I had my family there. Brother Knowledge, his family was there. We had a lot of people there. And before I forget, I want to shout out my New York homie, who's also my co-worker, my girl UV. You know what I'm saying? Who commanded the floor and gave me a knowledge out props, man, because a lot of times what we do is not seen.
No doubt.
A lot of times, a lot of stuff that we do is unheard. You know what I'm saying? We giving turkeys away, we giving clothes away, we giving blankets away, we giving sneakers away, but we're not doing it on camera a lot of times. But don't for 1 minute think that that kind of work is not being done. But on a greater level, what we're doing is reaching the hearts and the minds of the people, man, and changing them from the inside out so that whoever they breathe on, they can get that new life and that new breath in them, man. You know what I'm saying? And as my daughter would say, a lot of times when you do things in front of the camera, you have to be on point because when the cameras come out, a lot of actors come out and get in front of the cameras, and we ain't them.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. And that's real, man. And I ain't to throw no shade to nobody, but if the shoe fit, wear it. You know, that's my slogan. So that's the thing. It's about substance, and we do it from the heart. Man, we was in prison together. We used to do this in prison. We used to run them groups. We used to facilitate them groups. So this ain't no front for us. This like a natural part of who we are.
Yeah.
You know, because when you understand the grand scheme of things that we all connected, I'm just as responsible as delivering the information that I attain to the people. And our job is to make sure we give the right information to the right people.
That's
A
right.
lot of times, people that give the right information to the wrong people,
Mm.
and then the wrong information to the right people,
Yup.
meaning they got it mixed up. So that comes from a bad sense of judgment of character.
Mm.
So when it comes to these youth and a lot of us older guys that try to commemorate or try to relate to the youth, and I always hear a lot of older guys say, man, them youth don't want to hear nothing. No, they don't want to hear from you
Right.
because you don't have nothing to give them that can hold their interest enough to listen to you. They
Facts.
watching how you walk. They
Yup.
watching how you carry yourself. So it's like, how you gonna come and try to tell me what to do, and I don't see you manifesting none of it.
Yup.
You gotta kind of do the work first so that they can see what you're doing, and then they come and ask you. And when they come to ask you, then now you got their attention. But once you get their attention, it's on you to give them something vital. A
Right.
lot of times when we get their attention, we trying to tell them what to do instead of listening. When
Right.
you got enough fortitude to get their attention, you
Mm.
got to make sure you got enough to give them that's
That's
going to
right.
last with them, just in case you never see them again. You left them with something that's impressionable and something that they can rebirth a new transformation of themselves so they can help give that to somebody else. And that's what the birth of a nation about. That's what teaching culture is about.
Mm.
And when you're talking about culture, no doubt, that's our people's struggle and what we've been through collectively, and
Right.
how to eliminate the pain aspect and emotional components and take out the good. Like alchemy, you want to create something from nothing.
Right.
You want to take your circumstances and shape it.
Mm.
So we don't deal with the victim mindset because we came from prison.
That's
So
right.
nobody out here can tell us it's hard or we being oppressed or none of that because we considered that oppression when we was in prison.
Better
But ain't
believe it.
nobody put us in there but ourselves. We don't blame the system. We don't blame nobody, although we know the system is crooked.
Yup.
Well, it will never be balanced. That's why the scales of justice is in balance.
Mm.
And Lady Liberty got that blindfold. That's
Indeed.
symbolic. So why are we looking for equality from an
Unequal.
unequal
Indeed.
universe?
Systems. That's right.
It never been. And when you think about it, I used to think a lot of times, right? I say, damn, well, why is the laws and the penalties for crime so severe for crime? There's no perfect society.
Mm.
So if there's no perfect society, it's almost like crime and everything that makes the judicial system function create jobs. The sad part about it, because if you didn't have crime, you wouldn't have no need for no lawyers, you wouldn't have no need for no police, no COs, no institutions, no mental health institutions, no
Facts.
judges, no prosecutors, no,
Facts.
you wouldn't have, they wouldn't have a job.
Mm.
But why do we have to be the ones to sponsor the crime
Right.
in order for everybody else in the elite to keep their job?
Mm-hmm.
So we are, our only fight that we have left is to come together as a people and stop demonizing one each other. We
Right.
always trying to one up each other. We always trying to compete and outdo one another.
Mm.
And we'll sit there and talk that shit and go right and do some shit that's still trying to compete.
Yup.
And it's like it's a disorder of the mind.
Right.
It's a sickness because we can hate something that we don't even know nothing about.
Yup.
But it's so hard to love something that we've been around all our life.
Facts.
And that's the dynamic that's strictly opposed to our development. We
Indeed.
got to get away from self destructive behavior, self destructive people, self destructive environments, self destructive things.
Facts.
So it's like, why would you go and have a baby that you know you're not ready to take care of if you know that the judicial system is hard on deadbeat dads?
Right.
Why would you go sell drugs to your community to make some money off of hurting another family because you trying to feed your family so you at the detriment of another black family?
Mm.
So it's like we looking for rewards from the oppression of doing the oppression to our people.
Right.
We don't look for the rewards of trying to uplift our people and benefit off that. We benefiting off their loss. And that's
Indeed.
the trick of a capitalist society. Because in capitalism, it's like in order for me to win, I gotta step on you.
Right.
So it's like it becomes where is your moral compass? Where is your moral standard of the determining? Like I'm gonna prosper without stepping on you.
Mm. That's right.
We're gonna prosper twice as fast if I help you up.
That's
If I step on you, I have no help nowhere.
Mm.
All I did is create an enemy.
That's right.
So, man, it's like a lot to think about. Like this, just in the closing out of this year, going into 2026, it's like, who are you? What were you? And who are you planning to be?
Mm.
And most of us know so much about entertainers and rappers and celebrities and football and sports, and we don't know a damn thing about ourselves. We'll
Powerful.
go Google 1,000 things, all in the defense of our argument about somebody we never even met.
Mm.
But we don't even have a relationship with the person that we live right in the same house with.
Mm.
So that's where the work need to be done.
Indeed.
Accountability. Let accountability be our transformation and our awakening.
Facts.
That's what we need to do. Instead of pointing the finger everywhere else, let's start pointing the finger at ourselves,
Yep.
because the work and the change can't begin unless you identify what your fault is in the grand scheme of things. Nobody cares.
Key.
Nobody cares about your feelings. So stop expecting the world to care about your feelings and internalize that and build self up. And then the world ain't got no choice but to respect you because you standing on your square.
Actual facts.
No
No
doubt.
lies told. The God just said a mouthful, and it was all heavy. I want to add on to that by talking about what we had at our last group. At my last Hill meeting, I put together the brothers, man, the idea and the concept of recognizing those who didn't have to go through what we went through and trying to create that balance, because we often reward the gangsters, or we reward people who we know were destructive instruments in our communities. Like we give them the highest salute, the highest honor. We do a lot for them. You know what I'm saying? When they come home, they get more love and respect. But let's reverse it. What about the brother that was out here,
That's right.
that
Right.
never went to jail, that never forfeited being there for his children,
That's
that
right.
never traded or shirked the responsibility of trying to make a relationship work with whatever woman he was with? He never went in the penitentiary or any correctional facility and let them take years away from his life that are irreplaceable to his children.
That's right.
And this is why we got to give a salute to those brothers who fought on this side of the wall while we was on the opposite side of the wall, fighting and putting together programs to help change brothers' ideas as we were growing and changing. But when we come back out here and we see the same conditions, we are obligated, man, to spit our truth on these brothers, man, and make sure that we raise them up. But we never want to forget to recognize those who was out here battling, those who watched us leave and watched the generation of YNs grow up without the leaders in the community. Because I want to say this, a lot of us, you know what I'm saying? And this is not to toot our own horn, but it's just like slavery. When we were captured, they captured the best of us. It wasn't the worst of us, in some cases it was, that was arrested and removed from communities. A lot of us, we were people who others admired. So imagine if we could have changed our mindset the way it needed to be changed and led our people, you know what I'm saying, our youth in the direction that they needed, you know what I'm saying, to be led in. And I want to open your eyes to some things that we might overlook sometime. Whenever they do a pre-sentence investigation on you, they're gathering information about you before your sentence. The word pre means before. So they're learning who you are
No doubt.
before they convict you and send you in the system. And this is no shot at nobody. If you was a stooped out dope fiend, if you was somebody who nobody in society listened to, a lot of times those guys were released. And we used to always be like, damn, yo, home, we ain't hating on him, but how the fuck y'all keep coming home? And it's not that he's ratting on anybody. It's just he's somebody that is not of consequence to the people who are watching and observing our progress and our behavior. So those of us who were potential leaders, they made sure that we got a lot of time. And the danger in them making sure we got a lot of time, we had a lot of time to work on us. We had a lot of time to go inside that inner chamber and build ourselves. So when we do come back out here and we do breathe on the people, the change is one of it's instantaneous. It's like, damn, he been coming to that group for how long? And look how this brother done straightened his life up. You know what I'm saying? We got brothers who admitted that they was going to certified therapists and they stopped going, man, just to make sure that they come to our group because this type of authenticity, it can't be faked. You know what I'm saying? This is not something you wake up in the morning and put on like an outfit or a new hat or a new pair of shoes. This is something that is grown and nurtured, you know what I'm saying, from within. And a lot of times we forget about that pre sentence investigation. And it's the same reason why it's so hard for us to get out once we're in there because they know who you are. Don't ever think that the enemy do not know who you are.
No doubt.
And that's a mistake that we make. You know what I'm saying? We recognize everything but the right thing.
Right.
And the right thing is knowing where you are at on your on the step ladder of life. You got to know the whole layout of the game, man.
That's right.
And you can't just be smart in one area. You got to tighten up all the way up. So when the brother say, man, accountability, yeah, we starting with the man in the mirror.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? If something go wrong, it's always your fault that it went wrong.
That's right.
Because somewhere along the line, you should have saw it, you should have felt it, you should have peeped it, because you've been in the training grounds. You've been on a battlefield. You've been to the gladiator schools, not just physical gladiation, but you've been on a battlefield of the mind and of the heart, where your wisdom should teach you discernment and how to discern the sincere from the insincere and watch their behavior before you even let them in your personal world. And never be afraid to cut somebody off when their frequency and their energy does not match yours. Never be apologetic to somebody that's about to bring ruin to your kingdom, man.
That's right.
You got to know that when you see it, identify it and move away from it and move on, especially if the world is moving forward. Look at technology. Look at everything that we up against. So we got to stay in tune because there's an unnatural idea that's working at the same time the natural idea is working. And this is what's at battle in the world. Some people call it good and evil. They call it light and dark. But one is artificial and the other one is natural. And as you look, they're seeding the sky. They seeding the rain clouds. They manipulating the weather. That's artificial behavior.
No doubt.
We are bringing about or trying to establish the natural order of things to keep that balance. A lot of your fruit is seedless. A lot of your fruit is what we would say is a test tube baby.
Genetically modified.
It's genetically modified organism.
That's right.
And it's like when a woman give birth and she can't give birth naturally, and the child is artificially inseminated or it comes through a process that wasn't a natural process. These are the things that we are faced with in the world. You got fruit that bears a seed which produces life, and then you got fruit that doesn't bear seed, so it can't produce life, so it's not healthy for you, it's not beneficial. So what we have to watch is for the naturally occurring thing and the unnatural thing, and know how to discern between them and know what choices to make, which can be a detriment or benefit to our health, our growth and development. And we have to forever adapt to change, and the youth always usher in a new force, a new energy, and a new change. But you have to be able to listen to the youth. Don't come to them with no old outdated ideas and then get mad when they don't pay you no mind.
Right.
No, listen to them. A couple of days ago, I posted something on my Instagram, and I talked about the word listen, and I talked about the word silent, where they are both the same word when you rearrange the letters, because in order to listen, you have to be silent.
No doubt.
In order to hear the youth, you got to silence your heart. You got to silence your mind and listen intently to what they're saying so you can apply the proper medication, the proper healing, the proper language, the proper guidance, and a lot of times the proper discipline that they will willingly accept as long as your vessel represent what you say, man. We can't be walking contradictions.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? Because they gonna peep that.
No doubt.
You can't be walking around here talking about, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And then when they see you, you always doing something that's contrary to what you say. And I don't care what you say, energy don't lie.
That's right.
It doesn't lie. You can shake their hand, you can give them the bear hug. They feel that energy, man, when it's sincere, when it's not sincere. So just remember when you breathe on them, you know what I'm saying? When you speak to them, you know what I mean? When your energy bleeds on them, make sure that it's positive energy that's bleeding on them and not negative. Make sure when you come around them, you breathe in that energetic life that cheers them up if they're in a bad mood.
No doubt.
You want to breathe that energy on them that regenerates them and recharges their battery because they're going through things also. They got to fight peer pressure. They got to fight making a decision between doing the right thing and getting out there and trying to get into this world that offers no reward for trying to chase the fast dollar. You know what I'm saying? And there's no more money in the street. And so they want to mask up with the Pooh Shiesty mask and think that they're getting some paper when the reality is they are providing another job, as Brother Knowledge just pointed out,
No doubt.
for law enforcement. Damn near everybody in the courthouse, if it's not civic and if it's not dealing with marriage and divorce, they're criminal lawyers in them courthouses. They're bailiffs and COs, and all of them have a job because we have consistently perpetuated a criminal lifestyle.
No doubt.
And all the original mobsters before us, man, when we look at the end game, they all wanted to wash their money. They all wanted to legitimize their lifestyle because they knew there was no future in crime. And before I pass the mic back to the guard, I want y'all to remember this. We are the only people that get the lawyer after we get in trouble.
Right.
When we look at how the mob operate, they already got the lawyer.
Escrow.
Because they know they're living a life that leads to prison. So they're thinking, I might as well have him on standby because I know what I'm doing is illegal. We the only people, man, that know what we're doing is illegal. We know the penalty that we're about to face, but we don't have our right pieces lined up on the chessboard of life, man. And this must discontinue. We got to reach for better things and move towards better things. And we have to really support each other and stop competing with these damn people over the money bag, trying to step on the next brother so you can think you can get a deal from the devil. You know what I'm saying? Let the brother add on.
No doubt, man. That's heavy. It was a lot in there, and it put me in the mind of the 5% nation we call the 85 percenters, right? I call them destroyed powers, right? And they the slaves of a mental death and power. They the ones that consume all the bad foods, put all of toxic shit in their body, right? So that's why it's so easy for them to be misled by the 10%. So when we dealing with these mathematics and the way the culture is and the majority of the people and why they follow the things they follow. Look at the diet. Start at the diet. What they put in their body. You know, you consume a lot of toxic things and you're frustrated. You eating the stresses of animals that was killed under stressful conditions. So you taking an adrenaline through the tainted meat that you eat. So a lot of times people that's meat eaters tend to be overly aggressive, easily agitated. And a lot of times it's come from a sickness, a dis-ease in the body. Just because the doctor hadn't diagnosed you with a disease doesn't mean that your body is not at a form of dis-ease. So if you're not reflecting peace, you're not reflecting love, then a lot of times it comes from these genetically modified organisms. We take these SNAP benefits and we go to the cheapest stores and get the cheapest products and put that in our vehicle. If this is the temple in the God body, it needs sacred elements in it in order for it to sustain a God vibration. And that's so important because it's like now nothing is really natural. The first thing I hear people say when you try to encourage them to eat right or just make sure that they increase their eating habits in a healthy way, They said, well, it's too organic or vegetarian is too expensive. But I think it's more expensive the doctor bill.
Mm.
You know, because when you
Facts.
get the doctor bill, that's it's way more expensive to maintain medication for an ailment that you gave to yourself
Right.
because of poor choices and poor diet. You'll be on medication for the rest of your life. Like I think that's way more expensive than the pregame to
That's
make
right.
sure you do the early preparation so those things won't happen. And it kind of remind me of I remember when COVID hit
Mm.
and everybody was forced to wear masks. Well, most was forced to wear masks.
Mm.
I'm glad I'm a researcher. No shade to people that took the vaccine. Well, really shade to y'all because
No doubt.
you didn't do no research, no investigation. You believed the lies they told, and we were biased. A lot of people had a lot of biased opinions, and
Mm.
it's almost like this guy, Dr. Fauci. He came out of nowhere, and people just believed him wholeheartedly
Mm.
because he had a some initials in front of his name
Mm.
called Doctor, and
Wow.
he had on a white coat. Although he looked every bit of the devil in
Yes.
person. And it's like we so easily to believe and follow these people because of these alphabets that's in front of their name. We
Indeed.
don't look at the statistics of their trials, how many successes and failures they had in their becoming a doctor or who they claim to be. So when I did my little research and investment, by mine, I didn't take the vaccine. I never had COVID or none of that. So I'm so proud of myself and everybody else that didn't take the vaccine because that vaccine really gave a lot of killed a lot of our people. It gave a lot of people AIDS. It gave a lot of people diabetes that never had diabetes before. People was getting all kinds of ailments from it and still is. A
No
lot of
doubt.
people just not want to be honest about it because they probably feel ashamed that they took it.
Right.
But when I did my research, I said, damn, COVID-19, certificate of vaccination identification.
Mm.
19, the number one, the first letter of the alphabet is A, and the ninth letter is I. AI. So that's certificate of vaccination
Mm.
identification artificial intelligence.
Mm.
So they injected something in us that elicit a frequency in our bloodstream at any time they want that can make us mad, make us upset, make us stressful, make us sick because they're controlling us through these artificial intelligence injection that they convinced us to take, or you will lose your job or your career.
Mm.
So sometimes I think a lot of this anger and self-destruction comes from our people that was vaccinated.
Right.
We had it before. We had a lot of little issues, but it seemed like we was getting it.
Mm.
And then we got hit with this.
Right.
And the pharmacies that we went to, where do you think they would put the poison at? Right in the black communities.
That's right.
Same way they did with Planned Parenthood.
Mm.
Put those abortion clinics in black communities.
Better
And we
believe.
don't even have enough wherewithal and realness about what the real situation is that we turn a blind eye to it.
Mm.
And then we wonder why we sick. We 13% of the population. They say 14, but we should have been past that.
Right.
But you know why we not? Because of genocide and because we're aborting our own babies.
Mm.
We've been convinced to abort our babies because we having babies out of wedlock and out a lot of times out of artificial means
Mm.
because of a casual situation. You met a person at the club, you left the club, had sex, got pregnant, had the baby. Here comes the baby into the existence with an unfair shot.
Mm.
They come right into the world with an unfair shot. And then we want to blame the system. That's your fault. You chose this guy for whatever reason.
Mm.
Now it put all the pressure on a single mom to raise this child by herself, and then we demonize the man because of not being around. Well, that never was in the contract, miss.
Right.
When you met him, it was y'all was trauma bonding most of the time. And he left because you didn't get a chance to know that he would leave.
Mm.
You slept with him before he became or revealed who he truly was.
Mm.
He get allocated as a deadbeat. There goes the separation of the black family. So where did the choice start? It start from that initial encounter
Mm.
out of unhealthy situations, unhealthy choices. And we never
Facts.
take control of our own choices. So of course we're going to get those results. And then we expect the rest of the world to sympathize with us for our poor choices.
Mm.
No, that's victim shit. We gotta get up off of our shit and fix it. We can't change the past, but we can fix it moving forward. We do owe those kids with an imbalance an extra amount of attention.
That's right.
Not let the streets define it for them, because you know the system was set up for us to come in last place.
Right.
But we're knocking each other off.
Mm.
And it's like, when does that stop? When does the time come? All other cultures and races help the babies from the get-go.
That's right.
Mother and the father ain't gotta like each other, but they had this kid. They're gonna make sure they get the proper balance because the kid didn't ask to be here.
Right.
And that's one thing that we forfeited our right to do because we have it by so many artificial means. And then we feed them poor foods. We put them on medications early. Why do you think the little white kids have zap outs and go in them schools and shoot up them schools?
Hmm.
That's because they family start them out with Ritalin very early.
Yeah.
And then when they get older and they try to wean them off of that Ritalin, they don't know how they have psychotropic episodes.
Yeah.
And they go do crazy shit, kill their parents and all this kind of crazy stuff. That's the drugs. That's what we've been trained to do. So we turn around and do the same similar shit
Yep.
with our kids in our community. We start giving them Tylenols and shit for headaches and cough syrup and all this doping them up. Vaccines left and right.
Right.
We don't need all them vaccines. We giving them a disadvantaged chance of a natural survival.
No doubt.
And then they come up with all these ailments, poor choices, poor food, poor environment. How can you get a prosperous child or development from all these negatives?
Right.
It's almost unlikely. It's like that rose that grew from the crack in the concrete. You know what? Instead of saying damn, like Pac say, instead of saying damn, people looking up, damn, look at that broken rose. Why can't you marvel at its ability to still have the fortitude to grow through that concrete?
Yep.
It might got some damages and blemishes on it, but don't look at the damages and blemishes. Look at the fortitude and the after effect of it still standing and reaching the sun.
Right.
He got three eye atlas out there that most people still don't know about. And I've been talking about it every chance I get.
Yes.
And it's the size of Manhattan, and it's some highly advanced beings that
Right.
once we always thought was possible, but now we got some confirmation that we are not the only ones here. And where do you think this AI technology come from? Where do you think this advancement come from? You know what I mean? It ain't no God, no sky done it. So we can like start kind of like getting off of that, you know, and embracing the God in you and stop looking outside of yourself for a savior because you are your own savior all day long. So for you to surrender your own individual divinity is a blasphemy by itself. We'll go to these churches and give donations and money every week because we feel like we have to. That's the psychological prison you put your own self in.
Right.
And then you feel guilty when you don't do it. That's the mental change that you didn't create it for your own self.
No doubt.
Give yourself that same freedom. Give your brother man that same freedom. You'll listen to the pastor, but you won't listen to your neighbor. The pastor don't know you. He doing okay, but you helping feed his movement, and you ain't even feeding your own. And most can't even go to these people and get no assistance and no aid. So when we create groups and stuff, that's what we trying to do. We trying to create a family structure so we don't need none of them. See, one thing about when you getting aid and assistance from people, you end up taking on the ideology of them, whether they good or bad.
Yep.
You don't care long as you getting something. And then you won't speak out against them when they wrong because
Yep.
they're feeding your pockets. They're making sure you got your bread. That's a sellout to me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so raw when I say on my page when I'm talking about whatever I talk about, whether it's Trump or politics.
Right.
I call out the frauds if you're a fraud.
Yep.
And if I realize you wasn't a fraud, I'm man enough to say, damn, I was wrong about that.
Right.
Yo ain't no yo on this shit.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? As bad as I used to talk bad about Brandon Scott, but I still want to give him his props because the crime down and he standing by what he's always stood by. Whether it's right or wrong, he's standing by.
Yep.
He support his people. So loyalty got to go somewhere. You can't go with the wind. You can't just float in the wind and be this way one day, that way the next day. It's like, well, who are you? What do you really stand for? And when you don't have principle and you don't stand on nothing solid, you'll go whatever way that seem like they you know what I learned about people? Our people, they go for whoever they like.
Indeed.
They don't. You can be a fucked up motherfucker, but if you doing something for them and they can consider themselves liking you, then that's what they gonna go with you all the way. You can be dead wrong. See, I don't support that at all. I support righteousness. I support what's right. If my man wrong, I'm gonna say, yo, you out of order, you wrong, home. I ain't gonna sanction it because that's my man.
Right.
And that's what a lot of us do. We gotta get out of that shit. We gotta call an ace and a spade a fucking spade. and stop sugarcoating shit because of what we like. And we gotta learn how to like the right shit. We like a lot of fucked up shit. We like everything that's destruction. You know what I mean? They pumping with all this boycott shit with Target, listening to Al Sharpton and these kind of people, right? The boycott Target, not even knowing, and then we act like it's a victory when the goddamn Target might lose a few hundred million in one day because you didn't shop there. But what difference do it make if you're gonna make up for it the following week?
Right.
If you ain't gonna continue it, a boycott's supposed to be to shut it down for good,
Right.
not one day. And these motherfuckers, we are so behind with our thought process and so much of a follower that people like Target and Walmart, they got something called boycott insurance.
That's right.
That means that if you boycott them
Yup.
and you openly announcing you're boycotting them, they get that money anyway. Whatever they lost, the insurance replay it. So who really losing that? We losing because the same shit you went there every other time to get, you still need it.
That's
The
right.
only difference is you're gonna go with the sacrifice. You need to go with the and boycott them corner stores,
Yup.
Asian stores, and them liquor stores, and them stores that's in our community that never hired one black person,
Yup.
never hired the little kid around the way to help clean up. Don't fuck which won't let you go for a short or nothing. We don't boycott them. We give them all the support. And then we have a black brother store down the street, and we won't go in there. We want a deal. Why you want a deal? You should be giving them extra.
Yup.
They in the struggle like you are. You know they are. So why would we go and want to take from them? That's that crab in a barrel mentality that our people got to get away from. We support everybody else culture except us.
Right.
All the other ethnicities and races got a store except us.
Yup.
And we break our neck to give our money to all these different organizations and people except giving it to our own community. We need to boycott them kind of spots and them little corner stores. Nobody go in there unless they start hiring or doing something for the community. They can give an event once a year
Yup.
for the community that support, but we don't hold them accountable.
Right.
That's where our problem at black people. We don't hold the right people accountable. You'll grab a turn on your brother man for telling you the truth
Yup.
while you sugarcoat somebody else's bullshit. So it start with the health, it start with the mind, it start with your thought process. You can't go and save a nation if you don't have nothing in there to save it with.
No doubt. That's peace, Lord. You covered so much ground that I'm sitting here like, damn, where should I even pivot from? But I'm gonna go back to the vaccination thing, man, and the medications. Because just recently, um at my job, they was, forcing everybody to get the flu shot. And I successfully every year file the right paperwork where I don't have to get it. And instead of people following in my footsteps, the only thing they done was verbally complain.
Right.
Talked about how it hurt their arm and how their body is sore. But I gave them the proper legal paperwork to imitate, and they did not go through with it. And I'm like, well, dang, yeah, you don't like the condition.
Right.
You don't like how it make you feel. You know it's poison. They tell you it's some of the flu. And what they're not telling you is some of you definitely don't want to know.
Right.
But you still take it.
Right.
You still take it in a person liberating you from that activity by paperwork.
Right.
And you still won't take the time to just sign your name on the document, man, and submit it. All because you are really trained to trust and believe in everything they say.
Yeah.
And that leads me up to the mothership that is headed our way. In Erica Badu's song, she said, on and on. She said, the mothership can't save you, so your ass is gonna get left. You don't believe nothing black people say. You don't believe no paperwork me as a black man that gave you to get out of the vaccination. You don't believe none of the sacred records that talk about Nibiru, the planet that crosses the sky. You didn't believe the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he was telling you about the mother plane.
That's right.
But I bet you soon as white people get on social media or any other form of media and openly admit, oh, something's coming, it been out there, It been here, it then seeded the planet, it seeded other planets, then you're going to want to jump on the bandwagon and act like you believed it the whole time.
Right.
But you'll laugh at me and think, oh man, he crazy. He talking about this mother plane and these baby planes and the Beirut that crosses the sky. And you know what I mean? There's so many facts I could paint and point out to you about what took place historically that goes unexplained. You know what I'm saying? But you have enough examples, and I ain't gonna quote the pyramids because that's too obvious. You know what I'm saying? But what about the pyramids they found under the water? You know what I'm saying? What about the garden in Babylon? They used to grow upside down. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things where you can't really wrap your mind around this type of science because it's high technology. You know what I mean? It's certain biblical scripts where Enoch, since your Bible claimed that you can't go to heaven until you die first. But Enoch didn't only go to one heaven, he said he'd been to all seven of them and received information from beings in each of these heavens. And so, like I asked in my book, The Dark Side of God's Light, since he never left his body to go there, what accommodations had to be met for his physical body? What if he had to go to the bathroom on his way to the first heaven? Did they have those type of accommodations in that heaven? And then the second, what if he got hungry? The third, what if he needed to rest? And the fourth, see, our mind don't operate on logicality no more because religion has spooked us out so far that we can't accept our own divinity, but we can believe that a child was born, you know what I'm saying, without the aid of a man, you know what I'm saying, and he came to die for your sins. When the Greek word sin means to miss the mark, to not get the point of a thing. So basically, when it say you a sinner, that describes a lot of people because you still ain't get the damn point.
Right.
You still missing the mark.
That's right.
All these clues left in all these books and all this science to back up the book, and you still in denial because you have somebody that is patronizing, right? The patriarchal system over the matriarchal system, and you want to believe that. But all science points to your mother being the first goddess. All the nourishment you need come right from her. But they'll put you on cow milk or goat milk. When the milk you need is naturally produced in that God who you came out of.
That's right.
Yet all religions will tell you that man was on the planet first and they created woman from a man's rib.
Yeah.
Wow.
No doubt. No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? And so, because the world is based on dominance, control, and things like that, for political reasons and for reasons to conquer. I think it was Constantine who, with the symbol of the cross, he said, with this symbol I shall conquer. And then you got Christians, and this is not to attack anybody's religiosity or your religious beliefs, but the word cross comes from the Latin cruciare, which means to torture. It is not a symbol of salvation. You walk around with a torture device on your neck as a medallion that killed, allegedly, because he wasn't hung on the cross. The Bible says he was hung on a tree, like black men was hung on trees and lynched during slavery. So it makes more sense when you look at the reality and not be blinded by what people prepared for you. Instead of picking these things apart, you just accept, oh, we prepared this for you. Here, read that. Oh, this is already prepared for you. Don't question nothing. Just read that. Wow.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? And so now the mind becomes something that consumes a meal that is already prepared. And so, like Brother Nala said, the body follows. I just want something already prepared.
That's right.
And what is already prepared is something that's artificial.
That's right.
It's not the natural. So the same with the spiritual, the same with the physical. They took the natural order of creation, the birth process. Space is a black hole, it's a womb. New life come out of this womb daily. Yet the woman isn't first. Don't make sense. All life starts off as female. and then it manifests into male. And so in the subjective realm, like the Metuneta teach, like our ancient Egyptian forefathers taught in the Metu Neter, they taught that the subjective realm is the realm of the goddess. That's the realm you don't see. In the objective realm, the physical realm of objects, that is the male dominated realm. This is why when you're in the womb of your mother, you're in the subjective realm, the unseen realm. A work is taking place subjectively in the darkness where your bones are being formed in the darkness in the space of her womb. You know what I'm saying? And then as you manifest in physical form, your performance happen when you get out in the objective realm. So subjectively, you objected, you know what I'm saying, to the subjective realm that you came from or that produced you. But the triple darkness, man, is undeniable. And when it hit, and it's going to hit, when that mother plane hit, when the Beirut hit, everything that you thought was subjective is going to become objective. You're going to see it in reality. It's going to be an object that you can lay your physical eyes on. But just because you can't see it, don't deny it. Remember, the unseen isn't something that's spooky. The unseen is the manifestation of a thing that gets past your five senses. That's all it is. It's operating in a beam of light or a light frequency that the physical eye can't detect. But that don't mean that it's not there. You can't see the wind, but you know the wind is at work. When you out in the cold and you feel it freezing you, or when you see the leaves blow on the trees, or when you breathe, you don't see the particles that you're inhaling and exhaling, but they all have a relevance and an effect on every organ in the body when you inhale and exhale, but you don't see it. So that's the subjective realm or the subconscious part of creation that we ignore. But back to this exchange of seen and unseen. When we talk about alchemy and the alchemists, it's the science of manifesting base metal into gold. But it's really the law of transmutation and transformation at work, because we're not literally talking about metals. It is a metaphor for something that is considered worthless and lifeless and purposeless. And then something happens on a spiritual biochemical level that transforms somebody who you thought was nothing, that was worthless, that was purposeless, and you take their life and breathe in it a body of information that allows them to grow and operate on a level so high that now they're living life like it's golden, like the sister said. You know what I'm saying? That's the true goal. That's the true alchemist, and that's the true mission of the alchemist. Is to transform a messed up life into a better life, man. And so, with our groups, with our podcasts, with our delivery, with our conversations, man, we set out to be true alchemists. We're setting out to change life from the inside out, from something that is worthless and priceless and valueless, and make it something that is beyond measure, man. That is psychologically, mentally, and spiritually unsurmountable. You can't even calculate its worth once we breathe on it and give it the light, life, and power that it needs. And that's our whole purpose. And whether you back us with your money or not, it's still going to happen. And like the brother said, a lot of times the backing with the money comes a dictation that a lot of people lose something under the science of a game. You know what I'm saying? Me and Brother Knowledge had the opportunity to run a small little program with Johns Hopkins. And in the process of us going over there and speaking to them, I was blessed to have a private conversation with them. And one of the things that came up in our conversation was, what do you intend to do for the Black community because of the wrong that you did to Henrietta Lacks? You finally rewarded her family, but how many cures, how many medicinal panaceas have you came up with by robbing her of her vital organs without ever informing her or her family. You know what I'm saying? And for those that know her history is powerful, but to me, Johns Hopkins is forever indebted to the Black community, not just to her family on a personal level, but they should have a damn program in every neighborhood instead of gentrifying it by forcing the people out and building it up, but building it up for who? Because the lower income no longer live in that area no more. So you can say, yeah, the area looks good, but it don't look good for you. Right. It wasn't intended for you to inhabit that. And they at least owe you that for what they did to Henrietta Lacks and countless others that go unnamed that may come out later on. Because that habit of practice didn't start with her. When a person is an expert at robbing and taking vital organs from out of people's bodies, that didn't happen overnight if they're that good at doing it. That's something they've had some practice at for a while. So, you know, we ain't waving our gun at nobody, but we're not going to let you. If we're going to hold ourselves accountable, no doubt, you know damn well we're going to hold the opposition accountable. Right. You know what I mean? And so that's what it is, man. So remember, all money ain't good money. That's right. You know what I'm saying? And don't compromise your integrity just for a bag. That's right. You know what I mean? Oh, you can address this issue, but because we giving you this financing, I don't want you to talk about that. Right. All that. Yeah, we ain't going for that. Nah, we ain't wired that way. That's not us. I not to cut your wisdom, Lord, but ahead, Lord. It kind of reminded me of a guy, man. He called me up one day. You know, I be on my TikTok with my Trump stuff, my mega. You already know what it is, right? So he had the nerve to call me up, right? I wouldn't say a good friend of mine, but he is an associate. You know, I respect the guy at that time. Until he tried to tell me, like, little bro, you might want to tone that down a little bit. I said, yo, you sure you called the right number? Yeah. Because obviously you don't know me. You telling me to not say what I'm saying? Like I'm saying something wrong? Like, yeah, because you know how that them people do, boy. You start saying certain stuff about, you know, the politics, boy, they'll start trying to. Man, I hate these kind of people. Like, yo, you're the one that sold our people out in slavery. Yeah, right. They the same, that's that same genetic stream. And it's so offensive. So of course, me, I don't hold my tongue. I chewed his ass out. I ain't heard from him since. That was like 3 months ago. Right. And I basically tell him, yo, you can't control what the fuck I say. I'm gonna say what I say, and I don't care whether you like it or not. And that's just what it is. Right. I stand on what I believe in. That means I can represent that shit in front of anybody. Fact. Because nobody control me through nothing. I make my own moves, whether it's successful or not. But I got my integrity at the end of the day. Indeed. A lot of people cashing out their integrity all for a couple dollars. Right. I'm with this group. Or I'm up under them. They funding us, so I can't say this. Nigga, you's a fucking slave. Right. I would never do that. I'm never aligning myself with nothing that's going to make me suppress who I am. Indeed. It's a way to get things through. That's what revolutionaries do. That's how revolutionaries are. From the Marvin Gayes, the Tupacs. Them people went against the norm, and they was hated at the time. And as soon as they died and passed form, then they was the greatest people ever. Yeah. So it's like, why is it taking us too long? Why is it we wait till it's too late to really give people their honor for their genius? Right. We'll rather listen to the stranger than listen to the person that's right next to us. Right. You know what I mean? We'll listen to the person we've never met before. All because we can feel like we got something up on the one we know. And they can be misleading you the entire time. Right. Because you taking it with hook, line, and sinker. You letting them know that your values are negotiable. Your values are for sale. So when you doing shit that ain't internally in you, you really negotiating with the devil. That's what they mean, selling your soul to the devil. Facts. You know what I mean? So it's like we got to be really careful what we do. All good money ain't good money. That's why they say the root of money is the root of evil. They say money is the root of all evil. Right. If it's not handled right. Right. It ain't the money itself, it's the influence that you get from it if you don't know what to do with it. You can cross your man for some money when you don't have no foundation of self. Right. So that's what they mean by that. So it's all on what you choose to follow. And a lot of times we get caught up in belief systems and we don't have enough knowledge facts. Because when you believe something, that means you don't know. That's evidence that I don't know. That's why I believe it. Yep. They're the total opposite. You got knowledge and you got belief.
Everybody want to talk about beliefs and y'all believe in this, I believe in that. Well, what do you know in?
Right.
What do you know about yourself? You believe in God, that means you don't know God.
That's right.
That's evidence that you don't know it. So we show up at these places trying to get somebody as an intermediary to tell us what God means and what God said. Instead of looking at ourselves. Yo, stop following that King James shit.
Right.
Y'all mad at y'all ain't mad at King James. He was a murderer, a molester, and all that. Y'all ain't do no research. Y'all don't even know him. He ain't even your origin. He ain't even your blood type.
Right.
But you'll listen to him wholeheartedly. And although it said his version, that mean that shit ain't even true.
Right.
It's his version.
Yep.
And then you might say, well, I don't go by the King James. I go by this one. Well, it's somebody else's version. That's what Protestantism is. That's what those Protestant reformations was about back in the 1500s, and when they started the Church of England and the different churches, and you had Henry VIII and all these different leaders and kings that led different revolts because they felt like my interpretation was the way.
Right.
And it was on the people because the people didn't have the right to read those religious texts. That's why they had to show up at service because it was only one Bible. And that pastor or minister or preacher, they had access to it and they gave you what they felt like they wanted you to have.
That's right.
There's nowhere in the world that in 2025 we still following them same systems.
Nah.
We deserve every setback we get if we think that the answer for us exists outside of us.
Facts.
So we got to get away from the belief systems and get into some knowledge. We don't want to do the work. We want the finished product. We don't want to do no work. And then when somebody like us come along and try to drop a jewel on you, you'll fight me back tooth and nail that I'm wrong when you know that you ain't been through no book, no nothing to research, investigate, or study a thing. But you'll fight back against somebody that's really trying to free you from your own imprisonment of the mind. And that's the important part because we follow so much shit that we so unfamiliar with, but the shit that we familiar with, we won't even cultivate and try to make it into something.
Indeed.
So it's like in order to build self up, you got to know where to start from. So if you don't know your own ignorance, you'll never be able to understand your value. Because the more you know, the more you'll realize you don't know shit. And the ones that think they know is evidence that they don't know shit. Because there's no one truth. The only truth is that the only absolute truth is that there is none.
That's right.
That's other than the one you give it. Because things change every day. So yesterday's truth is tomorrow's falsehood. One time they thought the earth was flat, then they said the shit was oblong. Now they back to the earth is flat. Now there's other civilizations over in Antarctica, across the ice wall. So it's like every time we turn around, it's something new, something that we thought and believed in or thought was so, come to find out ain't so.
Right.
We think space is up there, but it might be really down there in the ocean. So it's like a lot of things are just in total opposite. You know what I'm saying? So it's like what they say believe is the lie to Eve's children. Yes, you look at the lie and the word believe. So that's what you got to remember. Keep that always in mind. Do your own research. Look into shit before you go jump in that people trying to argue a perspective from somebody else.
Right.
Look into it. Find your own self and your own foundation. And that's your own truth. But what happens is that third eye, which that pineal gland, that shit been calcified.
Yes, indeed.
You know, and the calcification of the pineal gland interrupts and interferes with your light coming from the sun. It interferes with your intelligence. That's why a lot of us can't even fucking change our mind about shit. We can be wrong about something, did wrong for so long, and we won't even change our mind because it's too much pride and too much ego. We don't even have enough self-trust that we know how to say, damn, I was wrong. Let me turn around.
Indeed.
We don't do that. We'll just defend that side all the way until we get around some people that don't know us. Then we'll take that side. That's ego problem. We got to check our ego, people, or we're going to fucking perish. No doubt.
That was heavy, bro.
Indeed.
Erykah Badu said, the man who knows something knows that he knows nothing at all.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And until you come to the conclusion that, man, it's always a never-ending process of growth and development, man. And that's why I coined the phrase, I'm not a grown man, I'm a growing man.
No doubt.
Because that implies there's always room for me to learn something new, for me to embrace new concepts, for me to overindulge in study. You know what I'm saying? And for me to critique everything and not just believe it because it comes from somebody that I like. but to understand that if the truth resonates with me, with my lifestyle and with my energy, and it matches the reality that I live in, then I'm gonna embrace it. But a lot of times we deal with people that they believe in shit that don't even match the reality they live in.
Indeed.
That shit is so fairy tale and far fetched. It's like, yo, how can you function every day on this planet and move the way you move and believe that?
Right, absolutely.
There's no sign of that being true.
None.
At all.
Zero.
And you're willing to spill blood.
Yep.
You're willing to go against your own people because they don't share the belief like you believe.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the sad part.
That's the sad part. And as we begin to wind down, man, I want to say some things, man, that I know a lot of people remember, but they're going to be offended by. But for those of us that did a prison stretch, man, like religion fucked some of us up so bad that the police would jump on dudes. And dudes from particular religious groups would be like, he don't believe like us.
Right.
And turn their head. Prison riots going on. And you're going to reap the benefit if we get what we're rioting for, but you don't want to assist because he don't believe like us. But soon as we achieve what we set out to achieve, now you want to partake in the reward of it.
Right.
But you didn't want to engage because we was non-believers.
No doubt. No doubt.
And that's the same thing that goes on in society on a higher level. You know what I'm saying? It's like we'll say a thing and we don't get support from people because they don't share our ideas.
No doubt.
But let the mainstream people just come in and start being like, oh yeah, brother Knowledge, brother Lakim, yeah, and watch how they just fall in line because the people who gonna unite with us, they're gonna respect what we saying because we mean this shit.
No doubt.
And that's how it always happens. The enemy know a truth slinger when he run cross one.
Right.
They start even admiring you. Damn,
Right.
I like that. I like how they stand up. And so a lot of times that's what happened when you look at a lot of movements. The Black Panthers, they had a lot of supporters like Marlon Brando from The Godfather. You know what I'm saying? Jane Fonda. These was white people. But they had to admire the tenacity that these brothers had to feed the people at the children at the breakfast programs with their money. They ain't go asking for no funding. They just started making moves.
That's right.
Doing community acts.
Yeah.
And they the ones who really set the criteria for reaching back into the community. Because a lot of organizations was building a bunch of damn restaurants with a bunch of high-ass prices in there for some bean pies and shit, and then telling the people, oh, we put a restaurant in your neighborhood, but never just gave freely. Never just said, you hungry? Here, feed the children, feed the children. And so the Panthers, they set out to do it and was doing it. And then in the process of them doing that, what did the government do? Good idea, but it can't come from them.
Right.
So they had to get them out the way, but keep their idea alive. And then when we was going to school, they had free breakfast. At that time, we don't know this shit come from the blood sacrifice of our people who wanted to establish this.
Right.
So we setting out, man, to establish things. You know what I'm saying? We ain't looking for no handout. You know what I'm saying? When it come, it's gonna come, and it's not gonna come in the form of a handout. It's gonna come because we attracted the bag and didn't chase the bag.
Right.
There's a difference indeed. You know what I mean?
Indeed. And don't think I won't notice them imposters.
Indeed.
The bandwagon jumping motherfuckers. I see the people and I see the ones that don't show up.
Yep.
So I see them, but it's cool. We all got choices to make. I don't want to pull nobody's hand to nothing. You like positive movements, get with it. If you don't, you want to deal with that fake imposter syndrome, then just keep it over there. Respectfully. You know what I mean? To each his own.
Yep.
You know what I mean? No shade thrown, no shade given. But I just hate inauthenticity. I hate inauthenticity.
That's right.
I get so annoyed by inauthenticity and I see it so much. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, What are we gonna do? When are we gonna really start taking control and understand, like, yo, don't nobody in the rest of the world fuck with us.
Right.
Like, why would are we still divided? Every time you turn around, we
Exactly.
just divided. All these different religions, all this, you believe that, you believe it. We so divided. Like, we only 13%. How we gonna make a difference? But yet we the biggest consumers.
Right.
All our money go out our hoods to everybody else except us.
Mm.
And then we wonder why we in the behind.
Yup.
Wonder why we can't get loans, why the certain banks and people won't fuck with us. Because we ain't established nothing. Why would they entrust you? I used to always hear people talking about, like, getting them in politics real quick before we close out.
Mm.
I always hear people talking about how no, the Republicans or whatever, they always just catering to the rich because the rich know how to invest the money.
That's
The
right.
rich take their extra dividend and the extra money that they get and they put that shit into investments so that it create jobs.
Right.
Give it to the poor people, all they're gonna do is go and consume.
Yep.
And it fucks the economy up. This would lead to inflation. So it's like, yo, what the fuck are y'all talking about? I would rather somebody that know about money to handle my money versus somebody that don't know about money to handle my money. So it's like we got to make our mind up. We got to get away from that hate. We got too much hate going on.
Facts.
We hate everything that's prosperous.
Yup.
And we try to gravitate to everything that brings us down. We
Indeed.
got to get out that victim mode. You can have an NBA team that win all the time. We start getting mad because they winning too much. And to
Yup.
find reasons to hate them and blame it on why they winning. No, they cheat. They, we create every excuse instead of taking a page out the book so we can learn how to win.
Yup.
Like, come on, black people. We got to get up out that victim mode, my mentality shit.
Real.
You want to catch some real mega shit? Come up on my TikTok page. Because I'm going to give you that work. Because all y'all motherfuckers kept talking that Kamala shit. She had that goddamn abortion bust at the fucking Democratic National Convention. And
Yup.
all our black women get talking about, yeah, Kamala, she protecting women's rights. Why? By giving you permission to kill off your bloodline?
Murder.
Yeah, like what the fuck is wrong with our people?
Self-murder.
Like, we want somebody in there that ain't even ready just because they look like us.
Right.
This shit don't mean nothing to nobody but us,
Yeah.
except when it count. When it count, the black shit count, we don't do shit to help each other. We trying to kill each other, set each other up, steal from each other, and all that. We don't do that shit to no other race of people
Indeed.
but each other. It goes back to the chicken syndrome. You are what you eat. You are what you eat, no doubt. It's like the chicken is they will fight nothing outside of the hen house.
Yep.
They fight each other though. And wonder why most black people that like chicken got that same mentality because you eat that same genetic trait
Yep.
that exists in that chicken. And this is why the motherfucking Europeans used to joke us so much about chicken and watermelon and
Yep.
shit. They try to turn us against the watermelon, but the watermelon is one of the most healthiest fruits.
Yes.
So they take the things that's good for us and make us think it's bad. They
Yep.
make us think that voodoo is bad, but that was the way that the Haitians connected with their ancestors.
How they
But
defeated
they
their
made us think it was evil. Oh, no, I don't believe in that.
Yep.
They trick us all the time only because we don't read nothing.
Yep.
If we learn how to read and investigate and go behind them motherfuckers and see what they really talking about,
Mhm.
we don't do that. But let a black motherfucker come and try to tell you something. We fight you tooth and nail for it.
Yep.
So I ain't gonna rant on about that because I can get on my on that tip, but I ain't gonna do that tonight. I'll say that for another night.
No
But
doubt.
before we close, man, big salute to Hill Uncommon Dialogue every Tuesday at 6:30 to 8:30 at 1049 West Saratoga Street at the
Facts.
Robinson Recreation Center. We got the Center for Hope. Every other Wednesday, the Hill Group, 5400 Preakness Way at 6 o'clock
Indeed.
to 8 o'clock. Good groups. If you struggle with any kind of problem you're going through mentally and whatever, I'm quite sure you can get your dose of medicine up there, and you won't get it at a pharmacy.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? So we got to put the right stuff in us. That's the only way the right stuff can come out of us.
Indeed. To my women, bring your sons, bring your nephews. We ain't there to babysit them though.
That's right.
But if you need them to be talked to by men, you are free to bring them. But we are not babysitters, and you're not going to drop them on us.
Right.
But we're going to drop something in their heart and in their mind to put them on a path where manliness will start to develop in them. And if you have young women, we have women available to talk to them. Or bring yourself in there
No doubt.
and get your checkup from the neck up as needed.
Right.
And tune in to Insight from the Godz every Thursday. It might be every Tuesday, every Wednesday. It might be every day.
Yeah, just tune in. We're gonna always give you a notification.
Facts.
Hit that bell, hit that share, subscribe, and like.
Better
Do that
believe
way,
it.
your notification that way, because we ready to get to it. It ain't gonna be no once a week. Every chance we get to drop a jewel, we're gonna drop it because we need it and ain't enough of us dropping it.
For real.
We're so busy looking for a leader. Start being your own leader. Stop
Yup.
looking for one. But you can't be that if you don't do the self work first.
Indeed.
And on that, we're gonna salute and say peace.
Peace. What you are, you attract. Keep attracting.
Indeed, indeed. I don't know how to stop you with you though.
Oh,
Stop, but yeah.
right here, the X.
Oh, you just take it out right there.
And then it'll, let's say,